It's our stories. Welcome to a world where real stories sounds like a movie script.
I've always thought of Thanksgiving as the warmest day of the year. Not because of the food, though I'd never say no to my mom's roasted turkey, but because of the feeling. That quiet hum of everyone being in the same house again, catching up, laughing over memories that keep fading around the edges. This year, though, this Thanksgiving would turn out to be the one that changed everything between me and my family. I didn't go there planning for drama. In fact, I went hoping for the opposite. A peaceful day, a few jokes with my siblings, maybe helping my mom in the kitchen while my dad watched the game. I hadn't been home in a while, mostly because life got busy. I moved to another state, focused on my work, and kept a little bit of distance that, frankly, I needed. But that distance came with something else, something my family didn't know about, something that would blow up right there at the dinner table, the fact that I had $12 million in my bank account. No, I didn't win the lottery. I didn't inherit it either. It came from years of grinding, saving, and then a bit of luck mixed with good timing. But we'll get to that later. And when I arrived that morning, my sister Olivia was already there, standing by the counter, sipping her coffee like she owned the place. She had that same sharp tone she always carried, the kind that could cut through any conversation. My parents adored her, though. The successful one, as they called her. She was a dentist with her own practice, married with 2 kids, and her house looked like it came out of a lifestyle magazine. Then there was me, the quiet one. I didn't flaunt my work, didn't talk much about my finances, and honestly, most of my family thought I was just getting by, which was fine by me. I liked it that way. "Hey, stranger," Olivia said when she saw me, that smirk on her face. "Didn't think you'd actually show up this year." "Wouldn't miss Mom's stuffing for anything," I replied, forcing a small laugh. My mom turned from the stove, all smiles and warmth like she always was. "You look tired, honey. Work been rough?" I shrugged. "Something like that. They didn't need to know that work had been going great. That the small startup I joined 5 years ago had exploded after getting acquired by a major tech company. That my shares had turned into a life-changing amount of money almost overnight. No, that was my secret. At least it was. Dinner went as it always did. Chatter, laughter, the smell of cranberry sauce and roasted sweet potatoes. But somewhere between the mashed potatoes and pumpkin pie, everything went off the rails. It started when Olivia asked, "So, still working that little tech job?" I hesitated for half a second too long. "Yeah, kind of. Doing consulting now?" "Consulting?" she repeated, raising an eyebrow. "That sounds vague." "Yeah," my dad chuckled. "You've always been a bit mysterious about what you do." My mom joined in. "We just want to make sure you're doing okay, dear." "I'm fine, Mom," I said, smiling. But Olivia wasn't done. She tilted her head and said, "You must be doing really fine. That's a nice watch." "What brand is that?" I glanced at my wrist. It was a Patek Philippe, not flashy, but definitely not cheap. I felt heat creep up my neck. "Oh, just something I got as a gift," I lied. She leaned closer. "A gift, huh? Must have been a generous friend." The room got quiet. My dad coughed awkwardly, and my mom tried to change the subject, asking who wanted more turkey. But Olivia wasn't letting go. She smiled that too sweet smile and said, "Actually, I'm curious. What's your secret, little brother? You never talk about work, but you show up with designer stuff and disappear for months. What gives?" I laughed it off, but she was watching me too closely. And that's when it happened. Later after dinner, while everyone was lounging in the living room, I left my phone on the coffee table to grab dessert from the kitchen. When I came back, Olivia was holding it. She wasn't just holding it. She was staring at the screen. "My screen, my banking app." Her face had gone pale. "What is this?" she said, her voice low but sharp enough to silence everyone. "Is this real?" I froze. My stomach dropped. The number on that screen, 1241 was staring right back at me. And just like that, the room changed. The air grew heavy. My parents looked confused. My brother-in-law looked stunned. And Olivia's expression shifted from shock to something else. Disbelief, then anger. "You've been sitting here pretending to be broke," she said. "Pretending like you're one of us while you've been hiding this?" I tried to take a breath, but my voice cracked. I wasn't hiding it. I just didn't think it was important. "Not important?" she practically shouted. "You have $12 million, Daniel. My mom gasped. My dad blinked at me like he couldn't even process the number. Is this true? He finally asked. I nodded slowly. Yeah, it's real. The silence that followed was worse than any yelling. It was heavy, like the kind of silence that separates before from after. Perfect. Let's continue seamlessly. Same calm, natural storytelling tone. The silence hung in the air like fog. I could hear the faint tick of the old kitchen clock from across the room, every second dragging out longer than the last. No one said anything for what felt like a full minute. Then my mom finally spoke. Daniel. How? Her voice wasn't angry. It was soft, bewildered, almost childlike. She looked at me as if trying to see the person she thought she knew, and couldn't find him. I swallowed hard. Remember that tech company I started with a few friends? We built software for small businesses, tools to help them manage orders and finances. It took off. Then last year, a bigger company bought us out. Olivia laughed, but it wasn't the good kind. It was sharp, bitter, filled with disbelief. And you didn't think to tell your family about that? I wasn't trying to hide it, I said quietly. I just didn't want things to change. Change? She snapped. You think things wouldn't change when you're sitting on a fortune? Do you have any idea how that sounds? My dad cleared his throat, as if trying to steady himself. 12 million. Daniel, that's unbelievable. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. Son, that kind of money... I know, I interrupted. It's a lot. I'm still figuring it out myself. But Olivia wasn't listening. She stood up, arms crossed, pacing like she was about to deliver a courtroom argument. You've been coming to these family dinners, letting Mom worry about you, letting us think you were struggling. I even offered to help you last year when you said you were between projects. I didn't take your help, I reminded her. I said I was fine, because you were. You were more than fine. Her voice rose, and my niece, who had been playing quietly in the corner, looked up, eyes wide. My mom quickly ushered the kids into another room, whispering something gentle to calm them down. When the door closed, Olivia turned back to me, eyes blazing. So what's the plan? You just sit on it? You don't help anyone? Not even Mom and Dad? That one hit deep. I do help them, I said, my voice low. I've paid off their mortgage. I set up a retirement account for them. They just don't know it's from me. My dad's eyes widened. What do you mean we don't know? I sent the money anonymously through a trust, I admitted. I didn't want you to feel like you owed me anything. For a moment, my dad just stared at me, stunned. Then his face softened. You did that for us? Before I could answer, Olivia cut in. Oh, please. That's just guilt money. You didn't even tell them. Who does that? Someone who doesn't want money to ruin relationships, I said quietly. Olivia scoffed. You think you're some kind of saint now? I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. This was exactly why I'd kept it a secret. I knew how people changed around money, even family, especially family. Look, Olivia, I said, trying to steady my tone. It's not about thinking I'm better than anyone. I just wanted things to stay normal. To stay real, she shook her head. Real? You think any of this is real now? You lied to us. You lied by omission, Daniel. It's not lying, I said. It's privacy, she laughed again, cold, almost cruel. You've always been like this. Closed off, guarded, and now I get it. You didn't trust your own family? I didn't answer. Because she wasn't wrong, not entirely. My dad stood up then, moving between us like a referee. Enough, Olivia, that's enough. But she wouldn't stop. No, Dad, it's not enough. You don't just find out your brother's been living like a secret millionaire and expect me to sit here quietly? Meanwhile, I've been breaking my back to pay for my kids' tuition, working overtime at the clinic, and he's out there buying... what? Watches and vacations? I haven't even been on a vacation in years, I said. And that watch, I bought it after the deal closed. One thing for myself, that's all, she scoffed. Must be nice, I sighed, rubbing my forehead. I can help if you want, Olivia. I can set up something for the kids' college funds. You just had to ask, but she froze. And when she looked at me again, her expression wasn't anger anymore. It was pride. Wounded, bruised pride. I don't want your charity, she said coldly. Keep your money. And with that, she stormed out of the room. The door slammed, echoing through the house. My dad sat down heavily. My mom came back in, her eyes red, holding a dish towel like it was an anchor. Well, she whispered, that was a lot. I nodded slowly, staring at the half-empty wine glass in front of me. Yeah, a lot. The rest of the night felt like a blur. Olivia didn't come back down. My parents tried to act normal, but the air was heavy. That kind of silence that clings to the walls. When I left later, my mom hugged me tighter than usual. "I know you meant well," she said softly, "but you have to understand how this looks." "I know, Mom," I said. "I just didn't want to lose everyone over this." She gave me a sad smile. Sometimes secrets hurt more than the truth. I drove home in silence, headlights cutting through the fog. The whole way back, I kept hearing her words in my head. Secrets hurt more than the truth. Maybe she was right, but the truth was already tearing us apart. Perfect, continuing the story in the same calm, first-person tone, keeping it deeply emotional and cinematic. The morning after Thanksgiving, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. At first, I thought maybe it was a work emergency or a message from one of my old friends. But when I looked closer, my stomach dropped. It was my family group chat, and it was blowing up. At least 20 unread messages. I scrolled through them slowly, and every word hit like a small punch to the gut. Olivia had told everyone, my cousins, my uncle, even relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. They all knew now. Screenshots, assumptions, questions. One of my cousins even sent a laughing emoji, followed by, "Guess we know who's paying for next year's reunion." My aunt wrote, "Wow, Daniel. Never took you for the secret millionaire type." Another message popped up from Olivia herself. "Maybe now you'll finally be honest with everyone." I turned off my phone and just sat there, staring at the wall. My apartment was quiet, too quiet. You know that kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful? It feels accusing? That's what it was. I didn't even know where to start. Every part of me wanted to call her, yell, demand to know why she couldn't just keep it between us. But then again, what would that fix? The damage was already done. The next few days were rough. I started getting messages on social media. Old friends, acquaintances, people who hadn't cared about me in years suddenly wanted to catch up. Some were subtle about it, others, not so much. One guy I'd gone to college with texted me, "Hey man, remember that app idea I had? Want to partner up now that you've got the capital?" I laughed bitterly. People change fast when they smell money. By Monday, even my mom had started getting calls. "Your cousin Michael wants to know if Daniel would be interested in investing in his restaurant," she told me gently. I sighed. "Mom, please tell him no," she hesitated. I did, but honey, you have to expect this now. People are curious. Curious, I repeated. That's one word for it. Later that day, Olivia called. I didn't want to answer. I really didn't, but ignoring her would only make things worse. So I picked up. "What do you want, Olivia?" She didn't waste time. "I wanted to talk. Look, I might have overreacted." I almost laughed. "You think?" "I was shocked, okay?" she said defensively. "You dropped a bomb on us. I didn't mean for everyone to find out." "So how did they?" There was a pause. "I might have told Mom's sister, but I didn't think she'd tell the rest of the family." I closed my eyes and rubbed my forehead. "You told Aunt Marlene?" "Olivia, she is the family gossip hotline." "I know," she sighed. "I screwed up, all right?" There was a long silence between us then, and for the first time, I heard something in her voice I hadn't expected. Guilt. I don't get it," she said quietly. "Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me?" I thought for a long moment before answering. "Because I knew how you'd react." She didn't argue, just breathed softly into the phone. "Mom's been upset," she said after a while. "Dad's confused. They're proud of you, but they also feel left out." I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. I didn't want them to treat me differently. I just wanted to keep being me, not some walking dollar sign. "Oh, I get that," Olivia said softly. "But it's too late for that now." She was right. The line had been crossed. The following week, I decided to drive back home to talk things through. I couldn't leave things the way they were. My mom deserved an explanation, one that wasn't delivered through gossip and anger. When I got there, she was in the garden trimming the roses. She didn't look up when I walked over. "Hey, Mom," I said. She nodded slightly. "Hey, sweetheart." I could hear the hurt in her voice. Not anger, not disappointment, just sadness. "I'm sorry," I said. "For not telling you. For letting you find out like that." She set the shears down and finally turned to look at me. "You know, Daniel, I always thought you didn't tell us things because you didn't want to worry us. I never imagined you'd keep something like this from us. I didn't want to change how we are, I said quietly. I didn't want the money to come between us, she sighed. But it already has. That hit hard. We sat there for a while, neither of us talking. Just the sound of the wind, the faint chirping of birds. Then she said something I didn't expect. You know what hurt me the most? That you didn't trust us to love you the same. I swallowed hard. I do trust you. I've seen what money does to people, Mom. I didn't want that happening to us. She reached out, placing a hand on mine. Money doesn't ruin people, Daniel. It reveals them. And in that moment, I knew she was right. That night, my dad and I had a long talk, too. He wasn't as emotional as Mom. He never was. But his words stuck with me. I get why you did it, he said. I really do. But you have to understand, when your sister found out like that, it made her feel small. Like you were living an entirely different life. And she was just left behind. I never meant to make her feel that way, I said. I know, he replied. But sometimes it's not about what we mean. It's about how things look from the other side. We sat in silence for a while after that, sipping coffee. Then he added, You're a good man, Daniel. Don't let money make you afraid of connection, I nodded. But part of me still wasn't sure how to fix the damage that had been done. Perfect. Continuing smoothly in the same calm, intimate storytelling tone. For the next couple of weeks, things were strange. My family wasn't angry anymore, not exactly, but the air between us still felt heavy. Like everyone was trying to act normal while pretending nothing had happened. Every phone call from my parents started the same way. Small talk, questions about work, the weather. But I could hear the unspoken tension in every pause. It was like they were both trying to find a way back to how things used to be, and then there was Olivia. She didn't speak to me for nearly 2 weeks. No texts, no calls, nothing. I thought maybe that was for the best. Some time apart to cool off. But then, one evening, I got a message from her. Can we talk? I think I owe you an apology. That alone was enough to make me stop in my tracks. Olivia wasn't the type to apologize easily. We met at a quiet cafe halfway between our towns. When I walked in, she was already there, stirring her coffee nervously. Hey, I said. Hey, she replied softly. For a moment, neither of us knew what to say. Then she exhaled and looked me straight in the eye. I'm sorry, Daniel. For everything. For yelling, for telling people, for reacting like that. Her voice cracked a little on the last word, and for the first time, I saw past all her pride. Saw that she really did regret it. I nodded slowly. Thanks for saying that. I was just so angry, she said. Not even at you, really. At myself, at how things turned out. I've been working so hard my whole life, and when I saw that number on your phone, it was like the ground disappeared under me. I couldn't understand how it was fair. I get it, I said. Honestly, I probably would have reacted the same way if the roles were reversed. She gave a weak laugh. I doubt it. You've always been the calm one. I don't know about that, I smiled. You didn't see me pacing my apartment after Thanksgiving. That made her laugh for real, and it felt like a crack in the wall between us finally opened. We talked for hours that day, about the company, the acquisition, how it happened, about the guilt I felt. Guilt for having something so big and not knowing how to handle it, about how I'd been scared of people treating me differently. I wasn't trying to keep anyone out, I said quietly. I was trying to protect what we had, Olivia nodded. I get that now. But next time, trust me enough to decide how I'll react, okay? Deal. We hugged before leaving, the kind of long, silent hug that feels like forgiveness. Over the next few months, things started to settle. The family gossip eventually died down, replaced by new topics. Someone's engagement, a new baby, the usual chaos of life. My mom stopped sounding sad when we talked, and my dad started sending me random links about investments and tax-efficient giving, as he called it. Then, one evening in March, I got a message from Olivia again. Hey, the kids are doing a fundraiser for their school library. Think you could come by? Not for money, just to see them. It was her way of saying, your family again. When I showed up that Saturday, my niece ran straight into my arms, yelling, Uncle Daniel, like nothing had ever happened. Olivia smiled at me from across the room, and I felt something unclench inside me. We were okay again, But even with things back to normal, something had changed in me. I realized how fragile relationships can become when money enters the equation. How quickly love turns into suspicion and pride into resentment. So I made a decision. I started a foundation, quietly, without fanfare, that funded small scholarships and business grants in my hometown. I didn't attach my name to it. I didn't want praise or headlines. I just wanted to do something good with what I'd been given. A few months later, my mom called me in tears. "Did you hear?" she said. "The local paper wrote about this foundation that's been helping families here. Isn't that wonderful?" I smiled. "Yeah, Mom, it is." She paused, then added, "You sound like you know more than you're saying." "Maybe," I said, laughing. She chuckled. "You've always been mysterious. But if it's you, I'm proud of you. That meant more than anything else." Still, even after all that time, the memory of that Thanksgiving never fully left me. Sometimes, when I'd visit my parents, I'd see Olivia watching me. Not with envy anymore, but with curiosity. Maybe she was still trying to understand how her little brother had built a life she never imagined for him, and I was still trying to understand it myself, because, truthfully, I hadn't changed that much. The money hadn't made me feel powerful or different. If anything, it made me more cautious, more reflective. It made me realize how easily we measure worth in numbers and how dangerous that can be. I'd seen people chase money their whole lives and end up miserable. I didn't want that, so I kept living quietly, helping where I could, staying close to the people who loved me before the world knew what I had. And when the next Thanksgiving came around, I showed up early. I helped Mom in the kitchen, played with the kids, and when Olivia walked in, she smiled and said, "You're on dish duty this year." "Deal," I said, laughing. As we all sat down to eat, there was no tension, no secrets. Just family, just laughter, just peace. And maybe that's all I'd ever wanted. Looking back, I think what hurt the most wasn't that my secret got out. It was realizing how fragile trust can be when money's involved. It made me think about what wealth really means. It's not about the number in your account. It's about freedom. The freedom to say no, to help without expecting something in return, to live without fear, but it's also a test of who you are when no one's watching. If I've learned anything from all this, it's that money doesn't change you. It changes how people see you, and sometimes it takes losing that image to find who actually sees you for real. That's what Thanksgiving taught me. That, and that secrets, no matter how good the reason, always find their way to the surface. So now I live differently. Not loudly, not extravagantly, but honestly, because the truth, honesty is worth more than $12 million. To everyone listening, have you ever kept something big from your family because you were afraid of how they'd react? Do you think I was wrong to hide it, or was I just protecting myself? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Thank you for staying with me until the end. How would you have acted in the protagonist's place? Write your thoughts in the comments. More fresh and controversial stories every day on my profile. Like and subscribe to this channel.